Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 430 of the Stacey West podcast. I am your host tonight, Ben, and I'm joined by Gary. How are you doing, mate? You keeping well?
Yeah, great. Got all the Christmas decorations up today, which was good. Went for a run this morning, nearly killed me. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. I like my Christmas tree. I put a Lincoln City Teddy on top of it, and Fee buys interesting Christmas decorations all through the year. And she came back from London the other day with a camper van decoration, which
excellent.
Doesn't feel Christmassy, but the way it's been hand painted, it makes it look like it's half Christmas pudding, half camper van. So it's quite good.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we got our decks up today as well, and I annoyed myself by doing what everybody always does at Christmas and smashing a sentimental ornament which fell off the tree. So that irritates me a little bit. But yeah, I know what you mean with regard to like ornaments that don't look particularly Christmassy. We tend to buy little ornaments through the year if we go somewhere, or if if we've got the year on it or stuff like that, just as a little reminder of places we've been. So we've got like baubles from like the Guinness brewery on there, and all sorts of other places.
You've got a Lego decoration.
I've got 2 or 3. Yeah,
close to have.
Yeah,
I've got a pink skull wearing a pork pie hat.
Okay, what's the significance there, or is it just because it was
no
cool?
idea? Fee bought it. She also bought a duck in football boots one year.
Excellent. No, I like the sound of that one.
A seahorse, a blue sparkly seahorse.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's festive. It must be a seahorse that quite likes Christmas.
I do have as well an ornament in the shape of Joe Exotic with a tiger. Somebody got from Tiger King. Somebody got me it for a Secret Santa gift.
Is it a Disney thing?
No, it was a Netflix special called Tiger King. It's a guy in America. Can't believe I'm explaining Tiger King to you in 2025. It's a guy in America who owns
I'm not really interested.
Well, he owns a zoo, and he's got like loads of tigers and that.
You're going to do it anyway. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know.
I just thought it was like Lion King,
no,
like a sequel or a prequel or something.
No, it's worth watching because the guy is genuinely insane. It's fantastic.
But I did have a little paddy because I have these red string decorations, and they get all tied up like lights. And I started unraveling them, and then I had a little paddy, and Fee heard something go on the floor and me start swearing, so she came through and rescued the situation. I did untangle the lights myself, but I think Fee may have untangled them first and then rolled them up so they were easily untangleable to make me feel like I'd achieved something special.
So you could feel like a proper man untangling all the Christmas lights when it's already been done.
Yeah, because I don't do stuff like that. I'd rather not have lights on the tree, frankly, than do that every year. What a tedious job that is.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's this is where I reveal that we've gone a bit bougie, and we've got one of those trees that have got the lights already attached to them when you put it up.
I don't know what bougie means. Is it youth speak for something?
It's a bit, bourgeoisie. It's a bit, upmarket and all the rest of it.
Either.
Oh, fair enough.
No, I know what you mean by
cheeky bastard. So anyway, should we stop talking about Christmas trees and talk about some football, because that's what we're supposed to do on this podcast, apparently.
Go on then. Why not?
Yeah,
it's going to be a good one, this, isn't it? I've already see I'm going to disagree with some people in the comments already, and even our Patreon Discord, which is usually a friendly place of happy clapper. Well, it's not, but that's the perception. There was even some disagreement yesterday on that. 2 points lost or a point gained. Whew.
Yeah, well, I've put in the description for the podcast, before we've gone live, as good point, bad point. Let's have a chat about it. So
you've taken my headline from my article.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, cool. No, that's good. I don't mind being your creative inspiration.
Brand synergy, mate. That's how it works. But let's not talk about when you've nicked my jokes for your articles, eh? That's all good.
When have I ever nicked one of your jokes? There was one you gave me once. You don't tell enough jokes for me to start stealing them.
Oh, there's been a few. There's been a few.
Funnier, maybe.
Anyway,
it was when we beat Derby. I can't remember what you did. You gave me my headline when we beat Derby 2-0.
I think it was battering the Rams. If
That was it. That's the only one I took. That's the only
Oh
one.
no, there's been more. There's been more. I'll come back with receipts at some point.
If you're watching at home, you can put in the comments, do you really believe that? Anyway, go on, let's talk.
Yes, obviously went away down to, up to Bloomfield Road yesterday to face Blackpool. Going into the game, I think me and you both predicted a draw. I think before the game, a lot of people would have taken a draw because Blackpool are a bit of a changed side under Ian Evatt. They've obviously started to turn things around a little bit. And I think the perception is probably that they won't be where they are currently in the table come May. But the lineup, obviously, is the first thing that we will talk about. Two changes from Tuesday's game, with Riley Taylor coming in and Rob Street. Rob Street starting in the middle. And I'm very much aware of what you're about to put in the comments, because I've just seen the comment from Rach in the live chat where she says that I steal her jokes.
Carry on. Let's talk about football.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just waiting. There we go. Two changes from the game. Riley Taylor coming in and Rob Street. The biggest talking point was that it seemed to imply a change in shape, didn't it? There was that moment we thought, are we going 5 at the back? And then there was a bit of a discussion around, well, does it mean that Adam Reach is potentially going to be moving a bit further forward on the left? That was the first question of the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, as soon as I saw the lineup, for me, it was 3 at the back to match Blackpool. I did my starting 11 video for patrons and said I think we'd go 4-2-3-1 and we wouldn't match them up, but we did. It's exactly why we did it. I think if we were going to go with the left back, it would still have been Adam Reach. So I don't think we would have pushed him further forward. I think it would have been Dom Jeffries starting on the left. Had we done that, wouldn't have changed the winning team if we weren't kind of going to play the opposition. But Michael's always been really clear that he plays the opposition, so we will make changes. Every game will look different, and that's exactly what we did. I think probably the surprise for me was Street coming in for Draper, because actually I thought Fred did well against Barnsley. Whether that's a fitness thing, he played Tuesday, Street plays Saturday. We used to rotate centre forwards when James Collins was fit as well. So used to, feels like it was only a couple of weeks ago, but we do rotate. So maybe it was that we thought if they were going to be coming at us, maybe we needed a little bit more pace in behind. Which probably Street's got a little bit more of than Draper. So it was, for me, a perfectly sensible couple of changes and perfectly understandable.
Fair enough. And then, obviously, game gets underway and more or less the perfect start for us, wasn't it? Within 3 minutes, we were celebrating a well-worked goal. George Wickens has an offside free kick to take, basically on the halfway line, finds Jack Moylan, who's got plenty of space. Gets out to the edge of the box, cuts inside, and then inch perfect shot into the left-hand side of the goal on his supposed weaker foot. Really, really nice strike, and you think, okay, we might get something from this one then.
Yeah, it was another good delivery from Wickens. Wickens takes a little bit of stick, and we're obviously going to be talking about some other moments involving him. I don't see a lot of the criticism of somebody. I think it was James Christopher, so it's not really a surprise. I'd put worst goalkeeper we've had in years. I just honestly, if I lived my entire life in the dark like some people do, I don't know why I'd bother. I think he's one of the best keepers we've had in recent years. It's 1 or 2 that are up there, or comparable, and a couple of those are either in the Premier League, have been in the Premier League, or are heading to the Premier League in Carl Rushworth and Alex Palmer. So, it was very good distribution. 2 assists in 2 games. If a winger gets that, you're impressed. George Wickens has now got that. So there was a lot to do for Jack Moylan. We're talking about XG here of something like 0.06. 94 times out of 100, that comes to nothing. But he cut inside really well. There was shades a little bit of Anthony Scully in the way he kind of went out and then cut in onto his other foot to score the goal. But we've obviously needed that little bit of a spark. I think that's one thing that we've been lacking. Mm-hmm. Bearing in mind we're third, so I'll try and not be too negative on this podcast, because I don't think there's as much to be negative about, if I'm entirely honest. But the one thing that we've lacked is that little spark. And the one thing we relied on earlier in the season was outperforming our XG. So scoring those goals that required a moment or two of quality. I mean, Peterborough, when we won 3-1, we outperformed XG by over 2 goals. That game should have been a draw. So for us to be just finding a way to score now when we're not piling on the pressure all the time is good. And again, it's early goals, isn't it? We like early goals. We like taking the lead in games. So it was, I didn't expect us to start quite as quickly as that. And I think that really knocked Blackpool.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, I thought throughout the first half, even though it didn't, we weren't necessarily completely, running rampant. It felt like we had a good control over the game. I thought we were, we knew what we needed to do. And I think there was moments that Blackpool just didn't really know how to deal with us and how to handle that that attacking threat that we had. I mean, there was another instance not too long after that with Rico Hackett. I think he got played in by Rob Street, and then he had a shot from just on the edge of the box, which he hit over the bar. I think maybe, possibly a little bit of disappointment that he didn't hit the target from probably himself, but it showed the threat that we had going forward. And I think there were a couple of other opportunities that we could have maybe buried. You're shaking your head.
No, there weren't. Not shots, not efforts. It was the 3 up to the second goal.
Okay. And then we'll talk about the second goal now then. So really good counter-attack.
Let me just come back onto the Rico chance, because you kind of saying maybe should have hit the target. I don't have an issue with that. You 1-0 up. We haven't sat back. People say we sit back. Again, I thought Rico looked really lively. And you know what? Your players will miss opportunities. They'll miss shots. So again, like you say, you were correct in saying we weren't rampant, because we weren't. We weren't running wild, and people have perceptions that sometimes then get clouded. So there's this thought that we were, for instance, absolutely outstanding in the second half at Wickham. We played well, but if you look at it, it wasn't chance after chance after chance after chance. And when you score goals, it feels like it is. So you've scored 2 in 18 minutes. It's like, we were all over them. Well, we had 3 chances. And actually, if you look at the numbers in that time, Blackpool had a couple they were long range and they were speculative. But you were right that they couldn't handle us. And it felt like there may be a second goal coming. They looked really shaky at the back. Fraser Horsfall on $7,000 a week, Michael Hewickery on $7,000 a week. I'll be honest, the way they were playing up until and after the second goal, I wouldn't pay him $2,000 a week.
No, I mean, they were, the preview that I did with Martin from It's Not Orange on Thursday night, he kind of said, Michael Heckway, he doesn't rate him at all. I think there's quite a few Blackpool fans that are in the same boat. So, I think he's the wrong side of 30 now for a defender. So he's probably, winding down his career. And I think he was, obviously he was taken off at half-time anyway, but we'll come to that one. Let's talk about the second goal then. So, a really good counter-attack. It starts, I think it was Adam Reach starts the move off, move the ball forward quite quickly, and then a ball over the top, finds Jack Moylan out on the left, who I think he runs out of space a little bit. There's a challenge that kind of pings off and ends up at the feet of Rob Street, has a shot, and it does take a bit of a deflection, but I think unlike the goal that was rather cruelly taken away from him earlier on in the season, it would have gone in anyway, I think. And it was, loops over the keeper. And that was it. 2-0 up. I think we feel like we're cruising at that point.
I feel like I'm listening to audio descriptive commentary when I'm listening to you go through the goals. The goal earlier in the season wasn't cruelly taken from him. It was an own goal. It wasn't going in until the player put it in the back of the net. And this one was a shot on target. And I think the definition is, if it's a shot on target and it takes a deflection and still goes in, I think it tends to be the players. But the one you're talking about, I think it was Reading, and it wasn't even on target. And it's not a deflection; it's a complete change of direction. So it'll be Rob Street's goal, that one. It certainly won't be an own goal, but it was a deflection that I actually think probably turned it into a goal rather than a shot that was saved. I'm not looking at it. I'm not going to say it was going in anyway. I think that would be a bold a bold statement to make, but I was really happy for Rob because he hasn't. I haven't been convinced as yet, and that it makes me feel a little bit icky, to be honest, because I'm going like, oh well, he hasn't convinced me yet. Who the hell am I to say that? Yeah, we watch it, but we don't see him week in, week out. The club believe in him as a number 9. You know, Jez on the podcast we did last week said we know he's not a right winger, we know he's a centre forward. So it was nice for him to get that goal. I didn't think it was 1 or 2. I thought in the second half he probably just died away a little bit, but he never stopped working. So it was good for him to get the goal. And at 2-0, the problem you then have is you're expected to go on and win the game. But it was 18 minutes in. So you've got 72 minutes of football plus injury time of like 5 minutes. So you've still got 77 minutes of football to survive against a team that have got a lot of quality that weren't showing it at that time. And I don't want us to fall into the trap of going, and the next thing was the penalty, because the next thing wasn't the penalty. Actually, they had a chance. They'd begun to ease their way back in at 2-0, not because Michael Scabala's on the sideline and has gone, lads, just put the handbrake on a minute for us, will you? Just let's just stop trying to do our things. We just need to calm it down. That doesn't happen. It's fallacy. It's made up. It's what people put online to make themselves feel a little bit better. So Blackpool did begin to get themselves back into it. With a Hayden Coulson effort that they should have done better with, and then it was a decent goal.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, as you say, there was a block shot, I think, from Zach Ashworth, edge of the box, bit of a speculative one. Then I say Hayden Coulson has a shot. Probably should have done a bit better with that. But then let's talk about the penalty, because as you say, it's easy to sit there and go, oh, they didn't have anything until the penalty. But I don't think there was maybe as much threat as Blackpool fans would have wanted to see from them. And I think you mentioned in your article, it was very quiet, and it felt like they weren't, the fans were starting to turn a little bit. And then kind of out of nowhere, really, ball comes down the right-hand side. I think it was Ashley Fletcher. He's going after it. Tom Hamer's chasing him, and then I've seen some criticism of George Wickens for this one, but for me, this is all on Tom Hamer. And Hamer's got a lot of credit with us, with the supporters at the moment, because he's been really good so far this season. But if he just pops that into the crowd, no one's going to complain about that. But unfortunately, he doesn't. Fletcher comes in, just gets a little touch on it to take it away from Wickens, and then Wickens goes through him. Unfortunately, it's a Stonewall penalty, isn't it?
Yeah, I find it a little bit frustrating that there is always a clamour to blame. It seems to be a modern thing in football that, like, there's always a clamour. Somebody has to be at fault, and being correct, yes, somebody was at fault. It was a Hamer error, but it's like we have to compartmentalize everything, and we're justifying that by then saying Hamer's in credit, but it's this. At the end of the day, it was a foul by Wickens, and the ball should have been dealt with differently. I don't think it looked like there was a huge amount of threat. I don't blame Wickens at all. He's come out. I don't know what if he leaves it and he gets beat. It'll be, why don't he come out? If he comes out, it's that clamour for criticism. It's an error of judgment on Tom Hamer's part, in my opinion. I'm not going to say it's all on Hamer, because I think that feels like quite accusatory. Yeah, that's a word. Yeah, I thought it was. I could write it and spell it, but I can't say it, which is like a lot of footballers' names as well. But yeah, look, end of the day, it's a penalty. And I don't think that the penalty particularly changed the level of threat that Blackpool have. I believe it changed the level of belief they had in being able to get behind us. So I think, because a lot of people have said afterwards, the penalty changed the game. It kind of did and it kind of didn't. Because for me, they were still a threat. They were still, I don't think that up until the penalty, they were dead. And then the penalty was this lifeline that came out of nowhere. They had an effort. They had a foray forward. In terms of the XG on Y Scout and people XG, it was comparable with ours, if you take the Coulson effort and the fact that both of ours were quite low XG. So the game wasn't even by any stretch of the imagination. Blackpool were rattled. They're 2-0 down. I always felt we could get a third, but we didn't do anything after Rico's goal to suggest that we were actually going to get the third. Instead, it was, and we weren't just sitting back, we didn't put the handbrake on, but it was, they were then trying to dictate the tempo and they were just trying to settle. The penalty gave them something to believe in and it woke the crowd up. And I think when you're a Blackpool, the longer the crowd are not on your side, the harder it is to get them back on your side. And I think that's the same at other places like Rotherham. So they beat Rotherham 3-0 in the week. You could turn the Rotherham crowd like that. We've been there before. We've seen it. We haven't taken advantage of it. When we went there Christmas a year or two ago, like their crowd were waiting to be turned. Blackpool's 2-0 down. They'd gone. You'd lost them. And it was that goal. It was the penalty that got them back on their feet. And that then gave the players belief. And these are good players. We talk about Blackpool being where they are. If you take actually just Ian Everett's reign, prior to yesterday's game, 1.66 points per game, which is the form between 4th and 5th overall in the league. So they're a good side. But they just didn't know it until they got the goal.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's a mentality thing, isn't it? So, I think that felt like from the point of, from where I was looking at it, that felt like the last major thing that really happened in the first half. One more shot,
which by the way is testament to us again, because they at that point have got their wind in the sails. And this will sound stupid. If there wasn't a half time and the first half was just 90 minutes, I don't think we would have lost the game, because Ian Everett doesn't have a chance to get into his players and all that.
We didn't lose the game.
No, we didn't. Well, we felt like we lost the game. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Look at you with your research. We wouldn't draw the game and pick up an absolutely terrible point, as Adam Barlow says. Terrible point at Blackpool, twice our budget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second half starts, as you say, Blackpool have the wind in the sails. They've got the tails up, and any of the cliches that we want to throw in there. They did change the shape at half time. Andy Lyons came on. They went 4 at the back. I think they tried to just get a little bit more control in the game. But I didn't think we had too bad a start to the second half. I think there was let's look at it. Moylan had a shot. Rob Street had an effort that was blocked, and Blackpool did start to put a little bit more control into it, or get a little bit more control on the game, I should say. Adam Reach had a disallowed goal from a corner, which ball came back out. Tom Hamer heads it back. Reach is given offside. Now, I think you've spotted that it looked maybe level.
No, I'm giving that one as offside. It's borderline. It is borderline. The problem that you've got with that moment is it's easy for me. I've sat here with my Y Scout on and I've slowed it right down to the exact minute the player connects. And then I've looked, and from the angle we're on, it looks like he's level. But what's happening is George Honeyman, who had been on the touchline for the corner, is coming back into the area, and Adam Reach is moving, already anticipating the ball. So they kind of cross over. And you can't possibly see both things at once. If you're the liner and you're looking straight across, you can't possibly see when the ball's headed back in, at what moment the connection's made. I can understand how it's given, because when the ball comes to Reach, he's clearly in an offside position because they've stepped out from the corner. I don't think when the ball's headed back in that he is offside, but I also don't think without VAR, computer technology, and 5 camera angles, you could ever conclusively say yes or no. So there's no way in hell that a linesman isn't putting his flag up at that moment. But our best 2 chances of the half, by the way, both, which will come on to the other one, both disallowed goals, both for offside, neither of which count towards the shots stats, which they had 17, we had 7. They had 3 on target, we had 2. But actually, if you take both of those as efforts, it's 2 more shots on target that we've had. And I know that people are, but they were offside. Yeah, but they're so marginal. It still show it's that doesn't show the attacking intent. It's not like you've got a player stood 18 yards, like a Pavel Abbott, 18 yards offside when the ball comes over. So again, I love stats, but it's also really important to show some of the context where for the stats you can go, well, actually, this, you need to add this in, and you need to add that in as well.
Yeah, I think. I mean, when that went in, I didn't even celebrate because I just thought he's miles offside there.
Yeah, same.
It was one of those. Yeah, okay, well, there we go. Just having a quick look through. Blackpool were close to the corner. I think one thing that's maybe popped up in a few areas of the criticism has been around George Wickens and his punching. He came for a corner, and he punched it straight down onto Lyon's feet.
Their keeper did the same. So why is it bad for one and not for another? There must be a reason. Yeah, no, I'm not going to go at you, Ben. Don't get defensive. Calm down. I don't see why we would be criticising Wickens for punching when their keeper was doing it at the same end in the same half, because obviously there was therefore a reason for it. I'd rather he got it away. They were criticising him for fumbling against Barnsley. Now he's punching it away, and the punch isn't good enough. Some people, like I say, clamour for blame, don't they? There's a Twitter account, name escapes me, and to be honest, with it being on Twitter, I really shouldn't, but it put something along the lines of, I'm not writing that guy's name again, as if Wickens has made mistake after mistake after mistake. And it's like, he's kept us in games at times. I just this clamour to want to hate or want to dislike or want to be angry at a member of our own team so constantly and so incessantly. We win 3-1 and there's still somebody out there going, he didn't have a good enough game. Like, honestly, it exasperates me. It exasperates me why that. I can understand. I'm not having a pop back, by the way, about people saying we were 2-0 up, we've drawn. I get that. I understand that it's a discussion point. It's football, but it's this desperation for blame. Like, they're having a go at Wickens for a penalty that, at best, is 10% his fault. At worst, is nothing to do with him. The goal that we let in, he's pulled off a worldy save, by the way, a superb save from close range, which we're going to come on to, which was an XG of 0.50. I just don't understand it. George Wickens at the minute on the player rater, on the Stacey West, last time I checked, was 4.5 from yesterday. 4.5. And he didn't make a single fundamental error. And I just don't understand why there is so much anger at a football club when we're third in the table. Anyway, sorry, I've kind of gone off piste a little bit here. Oh, you were talking about George's punching, and it just wound me up.
No, that's all right. I think we are going to have to go for a very quick enforced break here, because I've just had a notification that the power is going out in my garage, which is where my internet comes in. If you give me 2 minutes, we will come back. We'll probably put the ad break in here a little bit earlier than we normally would do. And you can keep chatting to folks, and I will come back in 2 minutes while I just go check on that.
Okay.
Apologies. Yeah, back in a minute.
Right. First of all, HG saying that's not really a defence. I'm not using it as a defence, my friend. What I'm saying is that if both keepers are doing it, then there must be a reason for doing it. Does that not make sense? I'm not saying he shouldn't be punching, or he should. That punch almost cost us a goal, so it didn't cost us a goal. And you see, this is kind of the point that I'm finding a little bit challenging is, and there's a lot of the criticism that people coming up, and I don't want to get into arguments with anyone. I'm not trying to kind of alienate any people listening, but yeah, I keep hearing things about what might happen, what could happen that actually don't happen. And it's almost like, and I know I'm not saying you, this particular poster is wanting this, but it's almost like people are sitting, waiting for something to happen. So we're saying, oh, we could be top. We've cost this, we've cost that. We're third in League One. And it just, this bit isn't going on the podcast. It fucking blows my mind that the amount of, and they're not from this chat, but the amount of negativity I was reading yesterday. What was a comment that I saw on Facebook earlier? How much longer can this go on for? How much longer can it go on for? That we're going away to Blackpool and drawing 2-2. A decade ago, they were in the Premier League. They've been all the way back down. They've come all the way back up. 9,500 for them is a poor crowd. They've got Premier League standard ground. They've got twice the budget that we've got. They've got players like Scott Banks, who was playing Bundesliga football last season. They've got Josh Bowler, who's been Premier League. He's been Olympiacos. We've got all these players, and it just blows my mind that we're 18th in the budget table. You know, there are teams in League Two that arguably will have comparable budgets to us. That's not fact. It's something that I've just said probably is true. But when you're 18th in the division, I would say that that's That's a fair assumption when there are big spenders. It really genuinely does blow my mind. And like George Wickens, I get, we can say like he's punched it instead of he's caught it, but their keeper was punching as well. So are we talking potentially about wind? Are we talking about, there could be all sorts of other reasons. The fact is the punch didn't cost us a goal. The ball's being cleared, and similarly their keeper's punch, which could have led to a goal for them, didn't. So again, I'm not entirely buying it. Let me come back to the start and let's say some hello to some people and see if I can catch my breath back and get my heart rate down. David Tuplin, evening one and all. Mr. Barton is still annoyed at us picking up a point and now being 3 unbeaten. I get that. Mr. Fox, evening all. Would have took a point before the games. Probably a fair result on balance on Saturday. Best home record versus the best away record. Yeah, evening Devon Imp, evening Flossie, another one who's disappointed, evening London Imp, reflection, a good result, didn't feel like it at 5 p.m. There's the comment. That's the comment I like, because it didn't. And do you know what? We all have a right to be disappointed. I was really disappointed, because we've gone away, we've started well, we've done everything needed up until 20 odd minutes, up until 84 minutes, we've done everything needed. And then we come back and we end up dropping points. But again, at the beginning of the game, everybody would have taken a point. And that's why, is it a good point or a bad point? It's somewhere in the middle, because it's a good point at the beginning of the season. Bloomfield Road away, I'll take a point from that. Did we take a point from it last season? Yes, last minute leveler. And it was a good point. So contextually, we took exactly the same result, but because we got the last minute equaliser last year, it's a good point. And because they got a late equaliser this year, it's a bad point. It's a point. A point's a point. A pound's a pound. Whether you were expecting a tenner in your birthday card and get £1, or whether you find £1 on the pavement, it's still £1 in your pocket that you didn't have. So what's the difference? Anyway, John Davidson is in. Yes, I can see, but I'm going through the comments now, so you'll have to wait your turn. John Davidson is in. Hello, mate. Lots of chats between Flossie and John and other people. Sue is in. Evening all, frustrated, but still a point in December. Yeah. Evening all from Steve. Malcolm is in. Hello to everyone. Evening all to Ollie. Leslie's got the kids back. Evening, kids. Keith's in. Jacob is in. It's a busy one tonight, isn't it? Emily's back from down under and she's wearing a hat and scarf now. Good evening. Missed Matt Povey. Evening, everybody. Richard, good evening. Wonder if Blackpool and Lincoln fans regard yesterday's outcome as 2 points lost. Rachel is in. Probably, do you know, if I lived with Ben, the last thing I'd do would be watching when he live streams. Phil Bennett, pre-lit tree. Let's have a look. We've got Keith.
In my defence, the pre-lit tree was not my decision.
Yeah, okay. Gaz Nicholson's in. Evening up. It's Gaz, Ben, Gaz, and fellow Imps fan. Shame we only got one, but Blackpool are struggling a decent side. Craig Harvey, good position in a match yet again. But there you go. Yet again in a good position in a match, you've got to kill them off. But again, that kind of get in a good position sometimes in order to almost take the punches. I don't know. I don't think there's enough positivity about us getting in a good position, and there's a lot of negativity about us not being in the position. The issue is we don't know if Wickens made a shout or Tom saw Wickens come out first. That's a fair point, but I thought Tom was holding off. Adam is on board. Hello, Adam. Walter is here. Hello. And I think I'm nearly done as I go all the way down there. But HD says agreed. It wasn't me having to go and blaming players for results. Twitter yesterday calling Kabala's head was baffling to me. Yeah, I just blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. It really does. 18th in the budget table, 3rd in the table, and people go, hey, can't talk about the budget table, but you can. At the end of the day, if I want to buy a £200,000 house, and I go in and I've only got 100,000 and bid on it, and everyone else is bidding 300,000 or 400,000, I'm not going to get the house. The budget matters. So anyway, Ben, you're back now. Have you sorted your little technical difficulty?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what went wrong. So I have, and you'll roll your eyes at this.
I'm not interested.
You'll roll your eyes at this. I've got a thing that notifies me if the power goes out because my internet stuff's all on a battery backup.
Fair enough.
And it said, "Oh,
I'm not rolling my eyes at that. You provide me with I use your internet in your garage, so I'm not criticising that at all, but I'm glad you're editing because I've got no idea where we stopped it, and now you've got to try and pick it up.
No, that's all right.
Shillings in the meter, says Flossie. Sometimes there's cultural references that make me feel old, but shillings in the meter makes me feel like Charlie.
Charlie didn't know what an N64 was the other day.
Yeah, didn't know an N64. Anyway, off we go. Where were we? We were about to talk about the Justin Abikru penalty. I'll let you come back in.
Yes. So, right. Come back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Sorry about that one. That was a very bizarre enforced break for this week. But yeah, so let's go back in, and we'll come into the next chance that we had, and I think at the time it looked like a bit of a flashpoint, but looking back on it, was actually a really good chance. Was Sonny Bradley's header.
Yeah, that was a good chance. Yeah.
Later on in the second half, really, really nice move. Ball gets played out. Moylan whips it back across, and Bradley heads over. Yeah, that could have been a pivotal moment, but then there was one which I think was a really pivotal moment, and it's another instance where we did have the ball in the back of the net, and unfortunately it was given as offside. So Reach and that's a beautiful photo. That's a beautiful photo. I think that's the one I've used on the thumbnail as well, actually.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that was a good effort, by the way. Just a word on that. I don't know if it was offline or online from the other night, but people have been saying, we're not scoring as many set pieces, and the club actually have said that the data from set pieces, did he say it online? I can't remember while we were off air.
Might have been off air.
But basically, in terms of threat, we've actually created better chances from our set pieces this season and missed them, and we've been better at defending our box this season than we were last season. But last season we scored more from set pieces. So that was just an interesting point that I wanted to pick up on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it was we're not getting as many, which is probably the other part of it there.
Yeah. That's right. He basically said that we were, for a team that thrives on set pieces, we weren't getting as many as we would expect. We weren't getting as many throw-ins, free kicks or corners. We're in the lowest 2 or 3 for every single one of those statistics. Because I think they're basically saying we report things to the board, and we don't just report the good, we report the bad, and that was what we've just been saying. So yeah, I just found that I think that came across as really interesting for me.
Yeah, no, definitely so. So then, the next shot, next real chance at the game fell to Blackpool. I think George Honeyman had a gilt-edged chance to equalise, but he hit it really square and put it wide. But then there was the next one where we had the ball in the back of the net. So it was a good little 1-2 from Adam Reach and Freddie Draper. Reach really busting a gut to get forward. Plays through Justin Abikru, who gets judged as being offside. The ball comes off the keeper after a bit of a collision between the 3 of them. I think it was him, Abikru, and their defender. And it falls to Fred by this point. The whistle's gone. But if that falls to Fred and the whistle hasn't gone, he's more or less got the entire goal to shoot at. And I think probably that would have been 3-1. That, to me, feels like a worse call than the Reach corner, because he's not offside. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, 9 set-piece goals for us this season. And there's only 2 teams who've got more, one on 10 and one on 11. Luton on 11.
Okay.
Nearly £20 million budget. I thought that it was the most obvious offside. And again, I've watched it back, and it's just not offside. It's another one where I think the run is timed to perfection. There's again, easy to do, but I freeze framed it at the point where he plays the ball, and he's level. You look at the lines on the pitch; it's absolutely simple. It's for me, he's level. I don't know, what more do you say? The only thing that I would probably say is that, does Fred score it? I'm not so sure. You say he's got the whole goal to aim at, but players who were closing down have stopped closing down. So, I can. But we're picking apart 2 decisions from a linesman where I'm not I don't think that the referee, Seb Stockbridge, I don't think he had a bad game, if I'm honest.
No,
but
it was a couple of.
The end of the day, look,
it,
it's not, for me, that's not offside. You look at the lines of the pitch over here as well. For
Yeah.
those listening at home, this is terrible, but I put the still on. The ball's just left Adam Reach's foot there. I don't think he's offside. And it's my fundamental problem with the offside rule in this division. Or any level of football that's not the Premier League is, it is not physically possible for a linesman to see, as the ball is played, who is across the line. It's not physically possible. I ran on a line for the Bardney under 12s or whatever it was. It's not possible. You're looking at one thing, you can't look at the other. You're looking at the ball being played, you can't see across the line. And when the professional game is played at such a pace, it's impossible. But the only answer is VAR, and I don't want that. So I'd rather we were sitting here having taken a good point at Blackpool, arguing about the fact it should have been 3 because of an official's decision, than have VAR. So.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. It's a frustration on an afternoon that probably had a few frustrations. After that, I think there was probably just a couple of pot shots, but then came the equaliser. And I think at the time we were all screaming for a foul on Riley Towler. Having looked back at it, it would have been soft if that was given.
It would have been a travesty if it was given, because it's not a foul. He's trying to win it and he's won it badly. James Collins wins fouls well. Conor McGrandles wins fouls well. There's no contact really. There is, but it's not pushed over. It's not a free kick. It's that simple.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he goes down and puts the ball out for a throw. Throw comes across. Fletcher shoots, and in fairness to George Wickens, that first shot makes a great stop, but it then comes out to another Blackpool player who then hits it. He's not hit that in the way he's intended to, has he? And it's come back straight to Fletcher, who's basically got an open goal. And
funny how people have their favourites. I've seen no criticism of Adam Reach at that throw-in not closing down the crosser. You and I gave him man of the match. You look at it back, when that throw comes in, that ball shouldn't come in. Reach and Towler are both out there. We need to block that cross. Block the cross, you don't get the 2 chances. And again, I'm not searching for blame, by the way. That's basically but that's the irony, isn't it? That you look at a single moment, people are looking at trying to blame George Wickens for this or Tom Hamer for that, when actually the equalising goal, there was also an error in inverted commas. It's kind of, but that's football, isn't it? And it's funny how certain things stick in the mind, like the penalty's the turning point. Not really. Hamer's to blame for the penalty. Yeah, probably. Wickens should. Do you know what I mean? But I only spotted that watching it back, because my thought, first of all, was, well, that's just a decent goal. Because people go, oh, defensively it was poor. Not after the ball's come in. After the ball's come in, it's a great save. It's hard to then clear. The guy shanked it. You can't legislate for that. Keeper's taken out because he's already made the save. The issue is the cross. But again, then we're dissecting it to the nth degree, aren't we? If the players that we were watching did everything right all of the time, they'd be in the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, there we go. That was then the equaliser. After that, I don't think there was anything really to write home about. We didn't necessarily look like we were going to threaten much more. And then the game winds up. So, anything additional, Gaz, that you can think of?
Yeah, loads. So, first of all, I think their crowd was disappointing. And when you think about ours on the back of Barnsley, I do wonder if accessibility in terms of iFollow and VPNs is actually affecting attendance. I mean, 7,700 with us and Barnsley, and 9,700 more empty seats than fans, I think, at Bloomfield Road, was a little disappointing, to be honest. Just as Carl Beach just come in and said, should we be worried about throwing away leads? I can't stress this enough. We didn't throw the lead away. We're leading 2-0, but the other team have clawed their way back into it. Sometimes we do throw a lead away. Sometimes it's what you do that causes that. But yesterday, I don't think that was the case. You've got Ashley Fletcher, who's played regular championship football, was at Man United, was at West Ham, coming on. Like I've said, Scott Banks, who was in the Bundesliga, Josh Bowler, who was Forest, and at Olympiacos. You've got just players throughout their side that are championship quality players being paid championship money in many instances. We couldn't hold out. But I think there's a difference between throwing a lead away and not being able to hold out for a win. And maybe don't get me wrong, I was gutted, by the way, at the end of yesterday's game. I was £100 better off because at 2-1 I put on my safety bet for a 2-2 draw, and I stuck. I'd won a bet the other day. I don't bet a lot, but yes, I seem to be creeping up with my safety bets. I won one against Exeter and one against Wickham as well. It's the worst £100 I've ever won, if I'm honest. I hated it.
Can we just talk about throwing away the lead as well? Because I think it's probably something, or games where we have been winning and then we've not won the game at the end. I don't know how many there've been this season. I'm just working my way through it now. So we've obviously got yesterday. The last game that we lost in the league was Wickham, where we weren't winning at any point in that game. Then there was Rotherham, which we lost 3-0. Bradford was 0-0, which we drew. Leyton Orient was 1-0, so we didn't score. Exeter, we didn't score. Where was the Mansfield game?
Well, there's no home games because we haven't lost any home games where we have scored. In fact, we've only been losing in 2 home games. Wigan, where we lost for a short time, and Exeter. Mansfield, we were 1-0 up and Sonny Bradley was sent off and they equalised.
Yep.
For the draw. Bolton, we were 1-0 up and they levelled in the last minute.
Yep. So there's not many.
No.
There's not many. There's if you want to talk about games where we were ahead and didn't win it, I should say you have Bolton, you have Mansfield, and you've got Wigan. That's it.
And Wigan, by the way, we came back from a losing position as well. We were losing.
Sorry, yes, you're right. We were
losing against Wigan.
So we've got 3 games. We've got Blackpool, we've got Mansfield, and we've got Bolton. And Salford in the Cup, if you want to count that one. So that's 3 league games this season.
Yeah.
It's not a problem, is it?
I don't think so. But you've just heard my impassioned plea. I think there's the perception because we came back from 2-0 down at Wickham to lose 3-2. There's the perception, and there's the defeat at Exeter, which was a last-minute goal. But again, it wasn't a lead. It was a last-minute goal. We do concede late. Is it a concern? I'm not so sure. A major concern. I think it's hard to have fundamental major concerns when you're 3rd in League One on an 18th place budget. And do you know what? Call me a sycophant, call me the propaganda arm of the club. The thing is, the club won't talk about the budget this year because they got that much shit for it last year. I don't think you'll hear them going on about it. But maybe it's for us. Maybe it's for us to say. And I don't even, 18th was something that was posted on social media. I've not seen the budget table personally.
Well, Jez and Liam did say on Thursday that it said 18th a few times.
Well, I'd say I didn't hear 18th, but I did hear Liam say
15 places above,
and then 15 places above where we needed to be. Yeah. So I just think sometimes I think we need to just put aside our disappointments. Of course, it's disappointing being 2-1 up or 2-0 up and drawing 2-2. Of course, it is. I'd be really disappointed if it was against Bromley or Boreham Wood or Barrow or anyone else beginning with B that's in League Two. Or it'd be disappointing if it was Port Vale. It'd be disappointing if it was a home game against a big side. But honestly, I think we've got to temper that disappointment. And remember, by the way, Blackpool at our place in 2020-21 season, they led 2-0 in the first half and we brought it back to 2-2 and they still ended up beating us in the playoffs. Maybe that's pathetic.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think that the key thing, as we've said earlier on, I think somebody mentioned it in the comments, it's disappointing in the moment, but then when you take a little step back and have a look at things, you go, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Like, yeah, it's the bigger picture stuff that I think, probably some people need to maybe get a bit of a handle on.
Well, I used the analogy in the Patreon. And so for people who are not on Patreon, why? For people who are not on Patreon, it's like watching your favourite series. There's always a couple of episodes that aren't great. And anyone that has watched Breaking Bad will know that the Fly episode, and in the minutes after the Fly episode, you think, I can't sit through another Breaking Bad. And then you watch another one and you go, oh, actually, yeah, that's a really good series. And it's similar, football similar. And do you know what? If we'd lost 3-2, I'd feel different. But we didn't, and we're still 3rd. So Yeah, people can come back to me in a couple of weeks' time when we've had a bad Christmas and we're 8th or 9th, and they go, "Oh, your Blackpool point doesn't seem so bloody good now, does it?" Yeah, well, it's still a good point at Blackpool. At the beginning of the game, it's just the context of the game and how things unfolded make it feel like it isn't. But Michael Scabala will always say a point's a point, 3 points, 3 points. It doesn't matter who you get them against or how you get them. So
100%. Right, let's put that game to bed. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of other things. So obviously we had our chat on Thursday with Liam and Jez. A couple of things came out of that have got a little bit of attention. The first one being the news that Finn Barbrook will be going back to Ipswich in January, if not probably a little bit, well, he's probably back there for training and medical reasons at the moment, because obviously he is injured. He won't be playing for Lincoln because the games and the trophy don't count. So he will be going back to Ipswich in order to either get another loan or become part of their 21s. I'm guessing it will be another loan out. So, yeah, maybe a little bit of disappointment that we've not seen more of Finn, because he looked okay in the trophy games. But
where would you play him?
Well, that's the thing. You can't play him ahead of the players that we currently have in the first 11. He's not ready for that, I don't think.
Or you got, whether he's ready or not, we don't know. But you can't play him ahead of 2 players that are in the top 10 central defensive midfielders in the league, and even Bartholomew is our record signing.
I was going to say, even can't even get a game, and he's our record signing. So
I always thought it was a slightly odd signing. I thought game time was going to be relatively limited for him, if I was honest. And I can't, but we brought him in. I think there was the question marks over somebody's fitness, Jez had said, wasn't there? There was, or was that Dexter and Frankie Okawankwo? Either way, at the end of the day, you know.
Didn't he say it was cover for Jeffries?
Yeah, that was it, Dom Jeffries.
Yeah.
Who doesn't play central midfield for us anyway. But yeah, look, that's football. Again, it's that clamour for there to be an issue. Like when we signed Lee Angle and he only played twice, or James Brown and he didn't play at all. People are going, "Oh, it's terrible. Why are we signing? What a waste of a wage." But no one was complaining when we did the same with Matt Gilks. So,
yeah. So yeah, Finn will be going back, and it does sound like Dexter Lembekisa's loan will also be ending as planned in January with no extension. Does that hint at things happening elsewhere, Gaz, or do we think that's just sort of okay? Thank you. And away you go. We're out of the cups.
Well, he was a last gasp signing, wasn't he?
He
was just before the deadline and came in just after. Again, with Tendai, it's probably a bit of a surprise when we signed him. You know, at the time when we did the live show and just kind of said that, yeah, we've signed someone, we can't say anything about it. The last thing that I thought that we would have signed is a right back, given that Tom Hamer can play there and given that Tendai Darikwa does play there. I'm not sure. You know, again, look, I think there was an element of in the transfer window towards the end of us making sure we were okay by signing players that could cover and would cover, and just kind of confirmed that because he said again, Frankie Okawankwo, we'll talk about in a minute, kind of that was because of Jack Moylan's injury and Dexter's come in because just defensive cover, I would imagine, and Dom Jeffries' cover was Finn. So I kind of get that, and I just. That's football. You know, sometimes you sign players, loan players, and they don't have a massive impact. Jordan Williams in the title-winning season, you know, was only coming off the bench a little bit. Jordan Roberts. Jordan Williams was the season before. Exactly the same outcome. Yes. Kind of just coming off a little bit. It was 2 Jordans in a row. So I don't think there's a massive issue. I don't think it's a case of the manager didn't want him or he didn't fit. You have a squad, you try and win games with that squad. Like you just said quite correctly, we're out of the cups now. So it's going to be far fewer games and we're going to try and make sure that we give people game time. So you can't give them more game time.
What I did find interesting actually is when we were talking about that and Jess said, you know, we are out of the cups. So if anything, we want to make sure that the squad is more streamlined or, you know, a bit more lean. So it's like, we won't be getting rid of people, but we might not be dipping into the markets as some may expect in January. I mean, do you expect to see anybody coming in January outside of, you know, well, the heavily rumoured signings?
Yeah. I don't think we'll be heavily involved in the transfer market. I mean, they more or less said we won't be signing a centre forward because we feel we've got 3 centre forwards at the minute who would be good squad players anywhere else. And Gaz Nicholson in the comments there has said a Bikru loan, if not overturned, is good. Yeah, they committed more or less to that we've got him for the season. He's out of contract at the end of the season. If Coventry were to go up, I think there's a potential there for us to bring him in permanently. So I can see that.
Don't they have an option?
I don't know.
They've got an option on him.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean they're going to take it, does it?
Well, no, but
so but I'd just say I like and don't like a Bikru in equal measure. Like he comes on and I'm like, something's going to happen, but he starts and I think nothing's going to happen. But he's another one. But it's like just again, they said sometimes we take punts, we roll the dice, we get profiles we like, and they might not have other attributes that we want to put in. So, but back to your question about January, wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't a couple of exits. It wouldn't surprise me if Mr. Wansma didn't go out on loan. And then it depends on where Adam Jackson is in terms of his rehabilitation as to whether we get some centre half cover or not, particularly when we do like the idea of going to a 3 at the back sometimes. I don't think it's the last time we'll go to 3 at the back. Michael said in his post-match interview, we've been looking at ways to be more front-footed away from home. Whatever people say, 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 as it probably was more closest yesterday. But it's not particularly a negative formation. It can actually be a little bit more attacking because your fullbacks are coming up to be almost level with your 2 to holding midfielders, and you've got that bank a little bit further forward. So yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't want to second guess anything because I said we wouldn't change our formation for Blackpool. What do I know?
Yeah, I can't see too much happening in January unless there are outgoings, but the outgoings, as was discussed on Thursday, would have to be pretty bloody spectacular in terms of the offers coming in for those players. So
I think Lewis is on the cusp of potentially one that could go.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll look at loaning too many other players out. Personally, people are going, "Oh, Eric Ring could do with a loan." Not so sure. I don't think we'll be looking at doing that sort of thing. Eric Ring's on a 4-year deal. Let's not forget that. And if he doesn't land this season, then there is potential for us to look at loans or whatever. But I don't want to get dragged into chatting about individual players on this podcast because we've got a couple of other little bits to cover. So I don't think it's going to be a busy January. I don't expect 5 or 6 players to come in. We're not like Wigan. Ryan Lowe at Wigan's already said reinforcements are coming and all that sort of thing. We are 3rd in the table. We're massively, massively overachieving where we should be. And so I don't think that we're going to stretch. I don't think it's a case of, well, we're 3rd, let's go for it. Let's do this, let's do that. But I think that if we need something, we will take it. And I think I'm going to answer a question you haven't asked yet. But I think that, and let's be honest, Josh Honohan's a player that we're talking about and potentially we've been looking at Shamrock. And I think they're out of Europe now as well. So not a lot of reason for him to stick around. If we signed him, I mean, obviously Adam Reach stays for this season, but would I then hang on to him next season? Absolutely. Adam Reach is packed full of energy. He's versatile. He gives us good options further up the field as well as in defence. Probably the signing of the summer for me, just edging out Sonny Bradley. Really, really like Adam Reach. So I think it's almost like we've stumbled into it, isn't it? That we've kind of gone to get the left back that doesn't quite fit the profile we wanted. And he's been superb, absolutely superb.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in agreement. I think Reach has been fantastic. There is a question that we'll come to a little bit on later on. I think he's probably one that will be up there in the discussions. But saying that we don't necessarily want to talk about individual players, let's talk about an individual player in Frankie Okoronkwo because we still have a decision to make on that loan. Do you think that with do you think that with the injuries to James Collins and Ben House, Frankie is more likely to stick around and not get recalled or sent back?
You see, there's 2 different answers.
Yeah.
In terms of being sent back, I think we're more likely want to hold on to him with Ben House and James Collins out. Obviously, Colo out for the season, Ben out potentially end of January, beginning of February. It just depends whether Everton want him here or not with the game time he's getting. And again, it would very much be cover, I think. off the top of my head, did we see him in the later stages? I don't think we saw him at all, did we, on Saturday?
No,
we didn't. You've got Abiku, who we know we're committed to, Rob Street, Freddie Draper. I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. I would say the club will probably want to keep him on from the comments that they made, but whether Everton decide, you know what, he'll be better off at Burton or Port Vale or Exeter or somewhere where he's going to get some more games potentially.
Yeah, I think it'd be useful to keep him because say that he's got that sort of utility player feel about him.
I'm not sold, if I'm honest.
I'm not 100% sold just yet, but I think he could still be useful.
We've got enough players who can put the ball over the bar without borrowing more.
It's a fair shout. Right, so next little bit of news. There is some interest allegedly in, is it Owen Kenny from Dundalk? Forward at Dundalk. You have a little bit more info on this one than I do, Gaz. What's the scoop?
Yeah, I didn't realise it was like Owen. I thought it was like Ian, but yeah, you're right, Owen Kenny. So we were linked with him by, I'm going to say Football League World. But yeah, he's linked with Blackpool as well. Us and Blackpool do seem to fall in the same category whenever we're being linked with players. I think we were both linked with Josh Bowler many moons ago. Whoever went up was going to be close to getting him. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure because we're getting into project player realms, and I just don't know if our budget stretches to many more. We've got some young players who are out on loan. He's done very well in the Irish second tier. He's helped Dundalk to the title. He's the son of Stephen Kenny, who we were linked with potentially, I think. Was that Bradley?
No, Stephen Bradley we were linked with.
Yeah, Bradley, not Kenny. Kenny's the Ireland manager. So he's a son of, he's from Irish football, not royalty as such, but he's got a good background in it. But Ian Everett said definitely not. Blackpool interested. I get the sense of agent drumming up interest. I don't expect us to sign him in the transfer window.
There we go. Right, we do have a couple of questions from Patron to round us out. The first one, if we were Lincoln City manager yesterday, what would we have done differently?
Not conceded 2 goals. It's that simple, isn't it? Football's that easy, isn't it? It must be. I've seen it on Facebook. It's got to be easier. Well, I'm not going to pretend to say I would have done anything differently at all because I don't know how I would. If we were Lincoln City manager yesterday, would we have been a 2-0 up after 18 minutes?
Yeah.
What would you have done differently, Ben? Did you have an answer for it?
No, probably nothing, to be honest.
I mean, it would be great to come up with some tactical insight that might have been able to nullify their threat. Whether it would be, I might have brought Tom Bayliss off and brought Ivan Varfolomov on and gone for the 2 holding midfielders, but then you get accused of going into your shell. You know what? At half time, I probably would have just said, take the handbrake off.
Oh, dear. I mean, yeah.
I didn't realise how annoyed I was, not at the game, but at everything else until we started recording. Could be because I lost on FIFA earlier and I'm bottom end Division 8 and I can't get out of it. It turns out that I'm shit at FIFA. And that's winding me up. Maybe I should play as Blackpool.
Yeah, I've stopped playing FIFA because I am equally shit. So, got a couple of questions that have been answered there. What would your aim for points this month be? We currently have 4 out of 6, 15 to aim for. What would we accept? 15. Do you think, Gary? We can't get 15 because we only have 4 out of 6.
You just said it was out of 15. Oh, 13 then.
Okay, I see.
Honestly and seriously, I think that we could beat Cardiff.
Okay.
But I think I actually don't think taking 4 out of Cardiff, Barnsley and Stockport would be terrible. Mm-hmm. And it's, would be great to get more. It'd be great to get 5 from those games and win and 2 draw, keep the unbeaten going. But it's going to be really tough. Stockport probably not at the minute as good as they could be. but they're still right up there. Cardiff conceded 3 against Doncaster, but scored 4. So that's going to be a really interesting game at the Bank. Barnsley away, depends on the Barnsley, but we've beaten 3-1 at home, but that doesn't mean we're going to go and do anything at their place. And we've already won at Oakwell this season in the Cup, so likelihood is they'll beat us at Oakwell. And I think that takes us then through to Huddersfield on New Year's Day. So really, really tough run of games. In an ideal world, you take 6-7 points, but realistically, I won't feel this way when we lose a game or draw a game, but realistically, if we take 4 points from these 3 games, it's not going to be a terrible haul. It wouldn't be a Christmas collapse if we did that.
Yeah. No, I think 4 feels reasonable from the next 3. Obviously, anything on top of that would be an absolute bonus. And then the final question, player of the season contender so far, 2 picks from each of you. Should we do one apiece and then call it a pod?
Yep.
My first pick, and I'm pretty sure this will come as no surprises to anybody, is Conor McGrandles. I think he's been outstanding for us so far this season. Over to you, guys.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say Conor McGrandles as well. I think Conor's been superb. So, yeah, he would definitely be my first pick for player of the season.
Yep. And then the second one, we've already spoken about him, possibly the signing of the summer. One of the 2 signings of the summer. For me, it's Adam Reach as the second player of the season so far, and a very close third is Sonny Bradley.
Sonny Bradley for me, and then a very close third would be Ben House. I'd have Adam Reach up there as well, but I think House has been outstanding throughout. But Bradley has come in, and I don't like comparison. It's the thief of joy. But when you're comparing Bradley to Paudie O'Connor, we don't realise that we lost our captain and our leader and one of our most influential players in the summer because of how Sonny Bradley's done since he's come in. So for me, he would be my second pick. And then Ben House.
There we go. Right, well, I think that's a pod. Have you got anything that you want to plug this week, Gary, or get out there?
You can still get my book on Amazon if you wish to. So that's you've got a copy of it there. I've got a couple still to post, but I've spoken to those people, and a couple of people are going to collect at Cardiff. I may not have any more to sell at Cardiff for cash, mainly because I think I'm going to have a drink or 2 afterwards, and I don't want to be lugging a rucksack full of books around. So you can still get that if you're looking for a late Christmas present for a loved one, or perhaps even somebody that you passionately dislike. If you want, I can sign it, deface it for you as well. So yes, you can get that there. And also just a really sad point, but my friend and accountant Terry passed away last week. Really sad. Might have even been a week before now. I think it was last week. I haven't had an opportunity to say anything on the pod. So Terry Ram, where if you are up there standing on the fringes of a conversation, waiting for an opportunity to have a say like you used to in the fan zone, I sincerely hope that my dad doesn't roll his eyes when you manage to do it, and that he actually allows you in to say something to him this time. Sad news. Rest in peace, Terry.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I think on that note, we will see you on Wednesday. Until then, there's only one thing left to say. Up the imps.
The imps.